Hello and welcome to the I Am Woman project, where every week we have deep, thought-provoking and interesting conversations with thought leaders, change instigators, rule breakers and creative minds who think differently, sparking creativity and inspiration. Our special guests on our show cover a variety of topics just for you, and they share their personal stories to inspire, motivate and empower you, our listener. The I Am Woman podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at www.catherineplano.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favourite RSS feed or iTunes. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. Hello and welcome. This is Julianne Black and you're listening to the I Am Woman project, the place where collaboration meets inspiration and possibility. It is my pleasure today to introduce you to Nkandu Beltz, an extraordinary young woman whose achievements impressed me immediately. So I'm very excited to have her share her story. This will be a fascinating conversation as we deep dive into Nkandu. Welcome, Nkandu.
Well, thank you very much for having me. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. This is so exciting. You've got so many amazing things to share that we're going to have a bit of a laugh and a good time. I have a very strong feeling.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so growing up in Zambia, Nkandu was acutely aware of the social disparity she and many others faced. The injustice was overwhelming for the free-spirited young girl and not something she could easily ignore. Encouraged by her father to stand up for what she believed in, Nkandu began petitioning for girl-child rights. Some of her achievements to date include 2011 Commonwealth Young Forum Youth Representative, 2012 Young Social Pioneer, 2013 Creative Innovation Scholarship winner, 2014 Women in Leadership Award, 2015 American Pioneer of the Year Award, and 2016 G200 Young Leader Commissioner. She's known as a social pioneer, author and speaker who loves to laugh and eat peanut butter and jam sandwiches. That's fabulous. That's an incredible list of achievements.
Thank you very much.
Wow. So tell us a little bit that you just shared a really cute story about your grandmother making lots of jam and you having peanuts on the farm. Can you just share that with our listeners
Yes, yeah, already I'm a foodie. I love food. I love to eat good food. I grew up with my grandparents to begin with in the eastern part of Zambia in Katete. And it's a very small community, very beautiful area, just lying at the feet of the Mpangwe Mountains and overlooking the Katete River with lots of wildlife. But what I love the most about that area is the people, very colorful, very friendly, and just that sense of community. So my grandfather was a high commissioner, and he was working at that point with the community development. So he kind of knew everybody in the community, and he knew which families were struggling, which families were doing well, and where we could help out. But we also had a small farm, so he was a subsistent farmer. And we used to grow a lot of peanuts, a lot of corn, cotton. We had an orchard with a lot of fruit trees in there. So a lot of our food actually came straight from the land.
Amazing.
So that's how I learned to eat whole food. And now I'm learning that was organic food. Yeah.
Mm. And then there was a love of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Peanut butter and jam sandwiches that came out of that. I love how it's such a story of organic and whole foods, and then it comes down to peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
suppose I could say that would also be comfort food, because it's something that I ate from a very, very young age. And it was there. It was always there. It was just abundant, like we had so much peanut butter and so much jam in the house that, snack time or breakfast, I would put peanut butter in my porridge. I would put it in my rice. I would put it in anything I could, So I just had this love of peanut butter and jam. Yeah. So
yes,
it's a habit that's continued today.
Yeah. Do you still make your own?
I haven't made my own for a very long time.
Yes.
I think about 3 years now. I haven't made my own. Yeah. But what I do is I do get, peanut butter from Netherlands, actually, because it has no salt and it has no sugar. So they have a very good brand from the Netherlands, which is really good. Yeah.
Amazing. And look, it was a little off topic going into that storyline, but I think it's testament to what we're going to be talking about today is just this holistic life that you have been involved in and participated in your whole life, and you are now sharing that wisdom and those insights to everyone that you come into contact with now. So what drives you?
I think that's a very difficult question actually to answer, but I'll do some justice to it. What drives me? I think it's the ability to realize that, we are capable of doing so much more as human beings and as a collective. And then also when you offer a service or a product to somebody and you realize that service or product has actually made somebody's life better, you want to replicate that success. You want to do that again. So the drive comes from that, as well as knowing that there have been people who've walked before me that have actually paved the way for me to be where I am today. So it's kind of like, paving the way for the future generation and, giving back to society.
Yes, amazing. And so the best part about your job is?
The best part of my job is that I get to travel and to meet amazing people. I have traveled around the world and met so many amazing people who are living inspired lives and creating significant changes. So, I think that ability to do what I love and then get paid to do what I love it's a luxury, and it's something that I enjoy the most as well.
Yeah, great. So with the benefit of hindsight, what would you have done differently in your life or career?
I think I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, nice.
I wouldn't change anything. Everything that has happened to me and that has, the good, the bad, the ugly, from, being poisoned to, having a knife held to my throat, and to meeting the Dalai Lama and having 3 beautiful kids. And running a business that, I love, I would not change a thing, because each and every experience that I've had has led me to be where I am today.
Yeah, wow, amazing. And the best piece of advice you've ever given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given was when I was in high school. I used to be one of those girls that was always creative, constantly doing things, doing newsletters, and there were rumors that started emerging in the school, and I was very upset about it, and I was crying. I went to see the school principal, David Tregegels, and he said to me, Nkandu, people will always have something to say about you. No matter what you do or don't do, people will have something to say about you, and you have to choose what thoughts you are going to entertain. And at that point, I realized that, of course, people will always have something to say, but it's up to me to make that decision as to what's going to worry me and what's not. And then the other best piece of advice I was given was by my little sister, Monique. She said to me, when the going gets tough, dance. put some music on and just dance, and then go back with a fresh perspective and look at the challenge. And it works all the time.
I love that, because both of those things are so powerful in themselves. One has you shift your physiology, which we all know when we shift our physiology, we shift our mindset and our state of mind, so that we can't have one without the other. So in order to just completely break state, getting up and putting on your favorite song, I often share that with my clients as well, where you just move, just
exactly
sing, move, dance. And your principal's advice, I imagine that, that would have, in the times when you were talking about before, which, sound horrific, being poisoned and a knife to your throat. And that advice would have held true in those moments as well. After when you're reflecting and coming to terms with it and being at peace with it, I think that it would have been frightening and harrowing when you're in the middle of it.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. But also one of the things that I learned at a very young age was to remain calm.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how bad things are, not to react. And I think that's also one of my greatest, I would say probably strength and weakness at the same time, because I always take a step back and say, okay, what needs to be done here, and I just do what needs to be done at that particular point. And if it's not the best decision, I always learn from that and not to beat myself up about it. But then also to realize that, as a change maker and as a leader and as a woman, people will have opinions about you. And it's up to you to decide which opinions, you're going to entertain and which opinions you're going to let go. So I've had a lot of people say and write, even now, about, what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing. But my main focus is, what are my priorities? So, yeah, we need to choose. We make our own decisions at the end of the day.
Yes. And that's then driven by what is that? What is your drive or your mission?
My mission is to create a platform for women and girls in particular to come together and learn about, the soft skills as well as the hard skills, and just that African philosophy of Ubuntu. I always talk about this philosophy. So Ubuntu is an African philosophy which describes the oneness of humanity. And the direct translation of Ubuntu is I am because we are. Mm-hmm. And Nelson Mandela did embody this concept. And it's a global philosophy, actually, when you get to think of it.
Yes.
And so my mission is to bring women and girls and to work together and create that sense of community and that sense of togetherness. And at the same time, while we're doing that, we're empowering each other, to live a balanced life, as well as earn a living doing what we love to do, mm-hmm. and having respect and love for one another.
Yes. And ourselves.
And ourselves, yes.
Yeah. Which is and that is a big mission, because not everyone is brought up in a space where they have really strong, positive role models. We all have role models, and there's a lot of people that have role models of what not to do as opposed to what to do. So giving people a new frame of reference, and especially women, for how they can value themselves and respect themselves and love themselves. And believe in themselves it's such important and beautiful work.
It is, yeah, definitely. And also, like some of my role modeling, some of it has come directly, from my immediate family, and other has come from outside my family. And I remember when I was I was 16, I wanted to work for the newspaper. No knowledge, no experience. And I went and I said to the editor, can you find me the best mentor to mentor me through to become a good journalist? And within 3 months, I got the director for the Media Institute of Southern Africa, and he became my mentor for so many years. So sometimes we have to step outside our comfort zone and just ask for that mentoring. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because one of the probably a universal human trait is being afraid to ask for help. And that's both a masculine and a feminine trait. And so because women tend to do it a little bit more. However, if it's to have them be their best selves, and put themselves on the line like that story proves, yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
So
I just ask. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Somebody might say no, then you ask somebody else.
Yes, indeed. So what's the greatest lesson you have learned?
The greatest lesson I've learned, it's about unconditional love. You know, and this is unconditional love for myself and for everyone around me and for the world as well. I realized that, you know, if I love myself enough, I will be able to love others enough as well. And letting go of small things, you know, so not holding on to things. So my greatest lesson is about love, unconditional. No matter what you've done or not done, you know, you deserve to be loved. And I've experienced that love from my family and from the people that I work with, as well as the community in general. So, and it also comes back. When you give love, you get it back. Mm-hmm. And then also the idea of setting up boundaries, because sometimes when we talk about unconditional love as women, sometimes it gets to be misinterpreted to where, people need to get away with certain things. No, it's about setting up also boundaries that, you know, certain things you will not tolerate. Like, for example, being in an abusive relationship, mm-hmm. you know, whether it's financially or physically, you know, you love yourself enough not to put yourself in that situation. And you love yourself enough to become an independent woman and, you know, respect and love others as well. So there's so many layers to it. But then again, the fundamental, you know, part of it is just, you know, love yourself enough, and automatically that love will flow to others.
Yeah, there's a lot of forgiveness within that as well, because if it's love yourself unconditionally, you really need to forgive yourself for the things that you think you should or shouldn't have done and what you could and can achieve, because that gives you emotional freedom to being able to do, be, and have what you want. And I love unconditional love as well, because we've got a saying that love the person, not the behavior.
Exactly.
Respect the person, not the behavior. And if we looked at people's behaviors a little bit more closely, if someone does the emotion anger, I'm like, wow, what had to happen for that person to have anger as their first point of call? You know, that it gives us a lot of clues as to what's going on for someone. Yet a lot of people just try and fix the behavior without the underlying thought processes that are going on. And I think we live in a world, especially at the moment, that is starved from unconditional love. And a lot of that is because people don't have a frame of reference for what that actually means. As you talked about, unconditional love means enforcing boundaries. It means being able to stand up for yourself. It means being able to have an opinion. It means knowing what you stand for as a person.
Exactly. Understanding who you are.
Yeah, on an intimate level.
Yes.
One of my favorite teachings. So what advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I'd give to my younger self is keep going. You're on the right path. Yeah, because I mean, as far as I can remember, growing up in Katete, in this small little town, I was very much, surrounded by people who are doing great things all the time. So I used to watch that, the show, like the agriculture show. And I just wanted to be a person who treated other people with love and respect. And I learned that from my grandfather. We had Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who is the first president of Zambia, was visiting. And the way the president spoke to my grandfather, who was, an important person in the community, and then taking a walk down the road, and then the way he was talking to the people who were on the streets and street people, homeless people, there was so much love and compassion, and he treated everyone equally with love and dignity. And that was the kind of person that I wanted, that, when I leave a conversation with somebody, they actually feel valuable, they feel that they've been heard. Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say to my younger self, keep what you're doing and keep going. You're on the right path.
And so does anything keep you up at night? And so what does?
What does? My mind is always buzzing with ideas. I have not yet learned to switch off. It's something that I'm learning. I have so many ideas and I want to do so many things, but I also know that I have to take it one step at a time. So what I do is I write down 6 things that needs to be achieved the following day, and I focus only on that. Anything else can wait. Yeah. But I'm a good sleeper. I love to sleep. I can sleep anywhere. Yeah.
That's a very good trait to have.
Yes.
So you've mentioned a number of people since we've been talking that have been an influence. Is there a standout?
I think a standout, my grandfather would be one.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and he still is a great person. We still laugh a lot. And he taught me about, community engagement and also contributing to my communities. Wherever I go, he says, make sure that you're contributing significantly to that community. And then I would say my father as well. He's a feminist, and I've been surrounded by, feminists, both men and women. I've been very, very lucky. And my husband, Eric, also, he's a wonderful guy who is, very, very supportive of what I do. So, I think I've been very lucky to be surrounded by great men in my life.
You told me a story one time about your dad giving you a really interesting insight into how to believe in yourself and to follow your own rhythm.
Yes. Yeah. So when I was young, I'd gone because I was living, with my grandparents, and then I'd go and live with my dad and mom in the city, in the Copper Belt. And one time I was wearing these little pants, which my grandfather had bought for me, and they were so small that we turned them into shorts. And I was smacked across my face by my uncle, and I was asked to go and change, to put on a skirt or a dress because I was a girl. And Dad called me back, and he called me by my clan name, Makili, which means the happy one. And he said to me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to change. And he said, why? I said, well, because my uncle has asked me to. And he looked me in the face and said, don't let anyone ever suppress your integrity or tell you what to do just because you're a girl. Go and change because you want to, not because you have to. And I didn't want to change anyway, so I just went back to playing, climbing mango trees and doing what I wanted to do. But when I shared that story with my friends, I realized that there was quite a lot of gender inequalities that were happening in my community, and that a lot of the girls in my community were not being treated with the same love and dignity that I was getting at home. Mm-hmm. So I wanted that to change. But for me, in order to do that, I knew that I had the backing of my father and I had the backing of my mother, and I had seen how the women were treated in my family with love and respect and dignity. And it was very confusing to go out in the public to see that, more than half of the women were not receiving the same, love and respect that we were getting. So I wanted to change that. Yeah.
And that's a confronting and also a conflicting story at the same time, because it was your uncle that in a lot of ways slapped you across the face saying this isn't appropriate, and yet your core family didn't hold those same values whatsoever and was like, no, this is how you treat and you respect and you love a woman. So that would have been quite challenging to interpret as a young girl as well.
Yes, it was very challenging. And then also putting my father's relationship kind of like on the edge, because he is the youngest in the family. So for him to kind of, because a lot of these things happen in the name of tradition, but then when I talk to my grandfather and my grandfather says, no, it's not our tradition to abuse women.
Yes.
It's not our tradition to put women down, and it's not our tradition, to disempower girls. So somehow something got lost along the way, through history, that, women have been reduced to becoming second-class citizens. Yes. So that is the narrative that we need to change.
Yes, 100%. In everyone's minds. That's such a true thing for the internal battle and the societal beliefs that are handed down from generation to generation, that certainly we've come a long way in changing those beliefs, and rather than it being the old school feminist where it's about burning bras and things like that are completely the opposite, because that's kind of it became a bit of an anti-man thing. It's like, no, let's go pro-life, let's go pro-humanity, let's be strong within our masculine and our feminine, and see what we can create from that harmony.
Exactly, yes. Because often I introduce myself as a feminist, and I remember I was at one of the universities, and this guy decides to walk out of the auditorium. So I said to him, why are you leaving? He said, well, you're a feminist. You definitely, you start bashing men. I said, actually, no, I love men. I said, I'm surrounded by good men. I have men in my life, and all I'm asking for is that, just that respect, and that, I treat you with love and respect, and you treat me with love and respect. And also to judge women based on their capabilities, not based on their gender. Yes. So, and it brings back to, this idea of listening to the news this morning, where Serena Williams, she was, I think, talking about equal pay. And somebody said, well, you playing 3 sets and the guys are playing 5 sets. So they get paid more. So if you play equally, then you get to be, paid equally. And I think that's fair. So yeah, let's judge women based on their capabilities, not on their gender. And then also treating each other with respect, because I know as a woman there are certain things that I can't do, and I have to acknowledge that. And there are certain things that men can't do either. So we just need to balance the equation.
Yes, and love and respect each other. Yes. So what's one word that best describes you and your personal brand?
That's a very hard one. I think I would say chic. I'm a girly girl. When I was growing up, I used to be a tomboy, believe it or not. And when I was 16, I was dared to enter a beauty contest, which I did. I lost, but it was just that embracing the feminine side of myself that I really loved. And there was just this kind of like this feminine force that just somehow magically came into my being. So everything that I do, it has to be chic, so my dressing, my business. Yeah. So I think that would be just the word that would describe my business and what I do and myself.
Perfect. And so what are 3 golden nuggets that you would like to give our listeners and have them leave us with today?
So one would be that opportunity, like unlocking your potential and about opportunity. Opportunities often come in form of work. So when somebody offers you an opportunity, I would say, if it looks good, take it. And then being confident about yourself. You are enough. You do not need to compete with anyone. No matter what anyone says or does, you are enough. Embrace yourself and love yourself, And then the other one would be surround yourself with game changers and go-getters, mentors, people that will, uplift your game, and just be a good person. Be kind.
Yes.
I think that was 4.
Perfect. So what does the future storyline for Nkandu look, sound and feel like in one sentence?
Exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. That's just one word. But because with my work I travel quite a lot, and I get to meet a lot of inspired individuals. So all the time there's a lot of opportunities that come up, and so there's a lot of collaboration that's happening between now and 2017.
Yes.
So growing my business, I want it to be a global brand.
Yes.
But first thing first, one step at a time. But it's exciting, and playing a bigger game, pushing boundaries, and just seeing how far I can go.
Yeah, perfect. And that so matches exactly what we've talked about today. So we're going to have some links as to where to find you as well. But let's share with the listeners what your at least what your website is and some social media handles.
Yes. So everything is just Nkandu Beltz, Nkandu Beltz. Once you put that name into Google, it will come up with a whole list of things. Google loves me, as I found out yesterday. And my website, nkandubeltz.com.au, or you can go to fierceandfabulous.com.au and find out about all the fierce and fabulous women that I work with.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a rich and delightful interview, and I've loved it. Or conversation. Hasn't even been an interview, it's been a conversation.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate you. And thank you so much to all the listeners listening to this. I value you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. This is Julianne Black for the I Am Woman Project. Keep smiling and be brilliant now. That brings us to the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed the show, as it is my mission to reach out and inspire as many individuals like you. And one of the best ways to help us achieve this goal is by giving us a good review on iTunes. It's easy and it only takes about 10 seconds. If you have any questions or special guests that you would like to hear from, please send us an email to support@catherineplano.com.au and we will get right back to you. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook @Catherine Plano. That's it for now. Thanks for listening. Until next week, please take care.